Johnson. And Morgan Heller. All right. If you want to join that committee, talk to one of them. All right, I believe that's all the updates I got for you. We're going to start it right off with our favorite council person, Michael Mulcahy.
Wow. So, Art took my thunder. I was going to cast a vote on the Curb versus the original name of this group. I like the idea of Curb, but well, I think it's CRNC or something. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Happy summer. Happy July. Missed everybody. It's been a while. Couple things right off the bat. I wanted to make sure to introduce my staff that is here this evening. First of all, Joseph Morrow. Joseph is our policy team, and Joseph interacts a lot on land use with and traffic with the community here, so he may be a familiar emailer with you. And then to Joey's left in the hot pink this evening, so you may remember Jessica Hellman. Jessica has been working for us since day one and is now leaving to go to law school at Berkeley. And so we say, we bid adieu to Jessica, but I'm very proud to introduce Lauren Babbage. Lauren, come on up here. She's going to say a couple things and how to help make sure you get involved.
Hi everybody. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but we're all standing in line, so I'll talk a little longer. Nice to meet you all. I wanted to introduce myself. It's been less than a week with the office, but I'm so excited to be working for the council member. He's so great. I did work for State Assembly Member Gail Pellerin, which doesn't represent this district, but I was more South San Jose all the way to Santa Cruz. So that's kind of where I was working beforehand. So I'm excited to learn more about the issue areas of this community, as well as just meeting each and every one of you. One thing, and I do live in district actually, so I'm familiar with this place and I frequent it a lot on my own spare time. I just wanted to notify you guys all, if you're not part of the newsletter, stay informed with our office, updates of events, things that are going on, policy related, whatnot. I do have a flyer. I'll be roaming around giving this to you. It does have a QR code, so if you're not necessarily familiar how to use QR codes, I also have just regular old business cards with email and phone number, so I'll have both. And I can also have the opportunity to talk to you guys one-on-one as well. So find me after the meeting, during the meeting, and nice to meet you all.
All right, thank you, Lauren. So I have a lot to cover, and I will try to do this expeditiously. I'm playing the room here, Art, because I've got all the people online. Hey, figure out what you're going to order so you can listen up. All right. So Valley Fair parking and traffic enforcement. Now, Valley Fair continues to be one of our top issues, and many of you in the room, communicate with us regularly. We've been working with the Department of Transportation. Now, I've just identified Department of Transportation. I'm going to call it DOT from now on. So if I say DOT, that's the City of San Jose's Department of Transportation. Here's a few examples. Through this year's budget, which was just approved in June, all of the council offices were given 100 hours of dedicated parking and traffic control officer time. District 6 is dedicating that 100 hours to Valley Fair traffic and parking enforcement. So what happens is, now that doesn't start till January. Oh, but fear not. We have negotiated with the Department of Transportation to start that in the year of 2026 during the holidays, so we can actually have an impact on the holiday impacts that we hear so much about. We want to make sure these hours are used where they'll have the biggest impact. So we know some of you are more communicative than others in this regard, and we will definitely hear from people, but if you have an opinion about that and you've lived in that affected area for a long time, we'd love to get those ideas from you. And what Lauren just told you is she's got business cards, but also a QR code to tell you how to reach us. And the best way is District 6 at sanjoseca.gov. All right? Red curb improvements. Now, last meeting that I was here, I made a very flip remark to one of our residents here, and it was around the city of San Jose's permit parking. And I said it as like, I don't support permit parking, but the intention was not that. The intention was the city of San Jose has gotten out of that business, and they're not doing any more of those. Now, that's a conversation for another day if you disagree, which there are certain situations where I disagree with that position, but it's costly, and they are not doing that anymore. So what we're trying to figure out is what are some of the other ways that we can help and be impactful. So the parking enforcement that I just talked about is one of those. But red curb improvements. So at that same meeting, people were talking about the fact that, where you have driveways close together and maybe like 4 feet from one driveway to the next, and somebody comes and parks there and it kills 2 driveways. Well, we've been working with the neighborhood, and we've already done a first major pass for those who wanted it to red curb those little sections. Now we're coming back and we're doing a second phase of that, which is called, what are we calling it? Thank you. It's really daylighting driveways so that, like where the section of your driveway kind of comes down like that, we're red curbing just outside of that so somebody can't like slide in and like have their bumper just inside that little curb so that you can't get out of their driveway. So it's all daylighting. So we just canvassed the neighborhood, and if you didn't get canvassed and you want them, you're going to make sure to either email us or tell us tonight. But that is an ongoing project. We're calling that phase 2 of red curbing. Valley Fair coordination. Now, we have continued to meet and communicate regularly with Valley Fair management, but you may or may not be aware that the general manager of Santana Row, long-serving Sue, who's been there for a while, is no longer sort of there on a daily basis. They're trying to rehire for that. So we're going to stay very well connected to Valley Fair to make sure that we, can stay connected to Valley Fair. And so no GM yet, but we'll keep you apprised. But I didn't realize that Santana Row management was underwriting the food truck tonight. So I just want to give a big shout out. I was planning to do this anyway to Brent Gardner. Brent, are you here yet? So Brent couldn't make it, but let's in this business of Cory much longer than I've been a council member, and we've had challenges with both Santana Row and Valley Fair. I have never seen a GM of Santana Row as involved and really present. He shows up at a lot of meetings, and I'm really grateful to see that they're stepping forward to be involved and be a problem solver. So that's that. General DOT updates. We've been talking with a series of neighbors interested in updates. Now, if there's an incident that happens and you are aware of it, involved in it, you better make sure that a police report is filed. Because not only does the traffic study and the measurement of speed counts, but the historical record of incidents on the street also matters. And we've had a lot of incidents that have gone unreported. We've helped to facilitate making sure they get reported. But if you see something, say something and make sure it gets reported. We had a Peachtree Lane resident ask about the work that's being done to improve the streets. And the concern was, oh my gosh, we can't do chip and seal on my street. The city discontinued what used to be known as chip and seal. And the work ahead is what we call seal coat or microsurfacing, okay? So the remaining work in the neighborhood, generally what remains are the streets west of Monroe. Some of you have been done already, some of you are in the process. And then would that be like streets like Cory, Peachtree, Kenwood, etc.? Then Homewood south to Forest Avenue includes Redwood, Daniel, Clover, etc. So there's a map available. I have a picture of it on my phone, but there's a fabulous website that the city has that shows our paving program in process. So if you need more information on that, like your specific street, we'll let you know. Now, the biggest precursor to this is the ADA ramps at the corners of streets. If those are happening, probably happened over the last weeks and months, you're in the queue. And all of the streets that I just talked about are in this calendar year, and this work should be happening between August 10th and November 6th. When they hit your street, it's 1 week of work, okay? I'm going to move on. I'm going to take questions at the end. Cory Reforestation. Now, I know Art talked about this, and my Chief of Staff, Lynn Lee, who's not here this evening, but she's been working with the 4 individuals that Art talked about, and will continue to coordinate our city forest, who's here. Tara, where are you? Put up your hand. Our city forest is here tonight, and they're very involved in this work. They're working hand in glove with your neighborhood volunteers. Tara, thank you for being here this evening. And then also our city arborist. I don't know if Sarah Davis is here tonight. Sarah is right there in the blue plaid shirt, and these are your heroes trying to make sure that we get more trees in the neighborhood. And they are both available tonight if you have any questions. They've now been identified. Delivery robots. You've heard about delivery robots. They are roaming our streets. There was a community meeting last week, but if you're concerned about them, you'll only see them in District 6 around Lincoln Avenue and the Alameda. Robots will not be roaming the streets of Cory Neighborhood. I didn't know if I was going to get cheers or jeers. I know. Do you feel left out? You're not going to have a robot to trip over? To see on your street? Okay, American Little League. Now, this is a cool thing. We are on the presence of American Little League right now. We want to congratulate American Little League as they celebrate the 75th anniversary this year, marked by the league beginning significant field improvements at Woodland Field at Cory Elementary. Now, this Friday, the 31st, Rodon Builders and Altura Wealth Advisors have each contributed $10,000 each to this effort to, kind of improve the field and its surroundings for the 75th anniversary. The mayor and I are going to be out here on Friday supporting that work, but that's a great improvement for your neighborhood school site. Good. I think it's 3 o'clock. I will verify that, but I can't grab my phone right now. Okay, the other things happen at the Cory school site. So Art talked about new tenants. There are 3 new tenants that are going to be occupying this facility. One is Rising Star Academy. They're the largest tenant here. Rising Star SPED Academy is dedicated to providing specialized education and support for individuals with diverse learning needs. Comprehensive approach encompasses personalized learning enhanced with a unique curriculum complemented by applied behavioral analysis. The second school that will be here is part of the Santa Clara County Office of Education's Special Ed program, and they will be here. I don't have full details on their program yet, but we'll circle back if that's of interest. And the third tenant is Pace Sunny Days Preschool. They work in the mornings with 2.5 to 4-year-olds and 4 to 6-year-olds, and in the afternoons with 4 to 6-year-olds. It's an inclusive program supporting autistic children and children who are neurotypical. So that's 3 different schools with 3 different bus programs with 3 different traffic patterns. So as I talk about, we are working with each of those groups to make sure that we get off on the right foot without really poor habits with traffic circulation and also bus routes. So I know that's been a big concern of Cherry Stones. We talked a lot with the neighbors there because it's a cut through the freeway, but we are on it. We're trying to be out front of it to have those conversations, and just wanted to give you that update. General plan for your review. Now I'm going to ask Joseph Morrow on my team because he has been Johnny on the spot in our office with the general plan. So I'm going to turn it over to Joey to give a quick not a quick, but an update on the general plan.
Thank you. Okay, so last meeting was in March, is that correct? April. So during April, we had talked about that the planning commission was still meeting to go over recommendations. To show up to those meetings, to email them. That process is played out. Those recommendations have been heard by the four-year review body. Those have been heard by the planning commission, and now they've forwarded their recommendations to the city council. The city council is going to be hearing the item on the 18th of August. We just wanted to share what those recommendations were and invite you to please let our office know your questions, your comments, and concerns. The recommendations include increasing the allowed density on mixed-use neighborhood and urban residential sites, making site-specific general plan changes along North Winchester Boulevard and the Alameda, developing a framework for churches and schools to be able to convert their land to housing if they choose, and increasing the density allowed in residential neighborhoods from 8 units an acre to 32. So for the average lot, for what typically applies, that's 1 house to 4 houses allowed on the average lot. Also increasing the height limit from 2 stories and 30 feet to 3 stories and 35 feet. So the vote's going to be on August 18th. We encourage you to email us at district6@sanjoseca.gov to let us know your questions, comments, concerns, support, opposition. All the feedback is super, super helpful for us as we look at the document is much longer than what I read out. It's about a 24-page set of recommendations that are coming to council, but any feedback would be super, super helpful.
Thank you, Joseph. So you have an organization that's sort of formed here around 826 North Winchester. We all went through that last year. That same group, the Concerned Cory Neighborhoods organization, continues to stay very active, communicates with us on a very regular basis. If you're not comfortable with land use, don't know what a general plan is, don't be shy. We're happy to help facilitate education for you. You absolutely have some advocates that are very passionate about the topic. But again, don't feel left out if you're not, sort of up to speed on things. Reach out to our office. Joseph is a great resource. I'm happy to also be helpful. So we're not going to get deep into the general plan issues tonight, but there are some unique decisions that will be made relative to this very neighborhood, some of it brought forward by all the activism that happened around 826 North Winchester. It's unclear to me as a sitting council member today how the questions will come to us at City Council. We believe that they will come as individual choices to vote yes or no on, or whether they will be a package of decisions to make. And there's a very different context for that. So just hang in there with us. August 18th is the meeting, as Joseph talked about, and we're happy to be a resource. And of course, please let us know your positions in writing, and that does matter. So I'm coming to the end. I'm going to take 3 questions in the interest of time. But before I do that, National Night Out is next Tuesday, August 4th. You guys have anything planned? You're going to talk about it?
Right out here, yeah.
We're going to have National Night Out right out here, and Art will talk more about that. I won't turn over. But the most important thing I came to tell you tonight is, hey, there's going to be a dumpster day on Halloween this year. I said there's going to be a dumpster day on Halloween this year. And we're expecting you cannot pull up and drop anything off unless you're in costume. You could wear the costume and then put it in the dumpster if that's your wish. But seriously though, we're looking forward to that, and you'll hear more about it later. I'll take 3 questions. Oh, yes, you say yes.
I'd like to know how you feel about the recommendations for the Winchester corridor. As you know, the planning commission has not.
So Lindy, specific to the Cory neighborhood, the Planning Commission, when they considered all the things they did, they took a pass pretty much on Cory and Winchester. And I think, in fact, the chair of the Planning Commission at the end of the meeting said, we wish council member a lot of good luck. So I think it's pretty clear where I've been relative to density in the neighborhood, specifically up here. I think it would be premature to tell you where I think the votes will be that evening, but I'm not even totally clear on how the question will be, how the question will come before us. But the concerned Cory neighbors and neighbors in general have been very clear about what they're interested in protecting. And so, you know, that's what I'm going to say tonight, Lindy, about the question. Any other questions? Same question.
Are you willing to share what you said? It's well known what your historical view is. Can you reiterate what that is?
When we talked about 826 North Winchester, you know, I believe that the proposal was too great, too dense for what is predominantly a single-family neighborhood. I'm concerned about the city taking a position of, you know, sort of creating the kind of densities being proposed citywide. I think they could have had an opportunity to be more intentional about where you might do 32 units per acre. I'm hoping that there is some sobriety on that kind of number, and I think that will not only have an impact on places like Cory, who have already been very clear about density on Winchester, but also within the neighborhood itself. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great meeting. We'll see you. I know that I think the mayor is going to join us in October. Now he's committed.
That's the way to put the pressure on. So we actually got met by Zach Tantini. He represents State Senator Cortez's office. And they wanted to let you all know that there is a picnic by the lake, and that's at Hellier Park, and that's happening on October 10th. October 10th. We got flyers right there on the table if you want one. All right, next up is County Supervisor Ellenberg's office, and with us we have the Communications Director, Chris Core. Please welcome Chris.
Good evening, everyone. Like Art said, I'm Chris with Supervisor Susan Ellenberg's office. I won't have as much to say as the councilman right now, but I kind of want to give you a look ahead of some things that are coming up from our office in terms of just policy that we're working on, and also a little bit of engagement that we're going to put together for the supervisor as well. So in August and September, the biggest focus that we're going to be having right now is on children and family policy, as well as our children welfare system. In August, we're going to be having a report that will be a reform for strengthening our child welfare system. So this report's going to have recommendations from different organizations that are more expertise with the child welfare system. This is in an effort to kind of revamp and reimagine how we are doing our child welfare in the county. So that's going to be the first step for our child and family policy reform. This is going to keep rolling into September. September, we have two big things coming up. We have our children's blueprint. This outlines all infrastructure in the county, children's wellness centers, daycare centers, after-school programming, different things like that that the county oversees will be brought up in referrals then. And then that will be followed also with our children's budget. The children's budget looks through all of the financial investments that we put in for children and family policy. So kind of everything I said with the blueprint and the infrastructure, but more so focusing on the dollar aspects of it. It's a very broad topic, and my summary here is pretty vague. There's a lot of details, and this is the supervisor's biggest point. So to making sure that she could be present and being able to talk to her about it, on Wednesday, August 26th, at the Santa Clara Central Library, she's going to be having a town hall to talk about all of these. So at that point, the first half of these referrals will be passed and move forward. She'll be having a discussion about everything that was passed, and also looking ahead into September and things that are going to be coming up too. So I'll make sure that that information gets sent over next week once we have everything finalized. We'll have food there. It'll be about an hour event, just going through all the referral updates as well. The other really big thing that we want to focus on too is behavioral health is going to be continuing to expand in terms of what we are able to provide. Next month we should be having our behavioral health pavilion. So if you've driven on Baskin recently behind the VTA station, there's been construction there for quite some time now. It's going to be a 2-story behavioral health facility. So we'll be having general public health resources as well as behavioral health resources as well. There'll be inpatient mental health units, and also children wellness centers there too as well. So those are mostly the things that we're working on too. I just want to make sure that you all have the info for the town halls. You can actually rehearse things. You don't lose anything big any longer past this too as well. But I'll hang it out if anybody has questions too. Just make sure that everyone's up to date as well.
Any questions?
Initiative for the children.
Yeah, so I mean, the question is kind of a drop in children's 0 to 5, what we're planning for the shift that we're seeing structurally. So that's what that children's blueprint specifically will be focusing on. So we're looking to see that restructure. That one still isn't until September, so it's still kind of moving, but that's going to be one of the main things we're focusing on. Well, we're having less children in the county, but how do we still continue to get dollars and also different things to the families that are still here too. So that's going to be something that will be addressed as well. Yeah, so the question was about a lot of the different things that are happening around public health, the hospital systems, the federal funding. I'm sure that you all are more so aware of Measure A, the campaign the supervisor was on. A lot of the funding was in the hole from the public health system. Right now, it's very still up in the air. We were able to secure a little bit more funding from the state to get actual funding to public hospitals. Before the governor's revise, they weren't going to send any money to public hospitals. Now we got a little bit more. It's only $250 million statewide. So it's not something that is super substantial. It's something more. It's a little bit the beginning of a conversation. The supervisor is actually in DC right now, talking kind of moving through this. This is still a conversation that she's trying to have, getting more funding sources. We're working closely with Sutter and Stanford and local hospitals like Kaiser too, just to kind of understand the landscape of it, because although we're the ones taking the biggest hit federally, they're also taking a lot of hits too for hospital system. So I don't have anything different that she's really told you before. It's more so that the landscape is pretty uncertain. The funding is a lot up in the air, but she has been boots on the ground, and NBC to Sacramento and advocating for our public hospital systems. And it's worked a little bit. Like I said, the state line, that's not going to make a huge impact necessarily from hospital to hospital, but that's what's going to make sure we're looking at those two as well. Really major. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you all so much.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Brett Gardner speak, but he's not here tonight. So he left it up to me. He gave me 9 questions. So, and these are questions from you all that you sent to us and we sent to him. So the first one is, what's the parking strategy? What's going on, especially around holidays? So they're going to, Santana Row is going to keep the 2-hour free parking program. And then they're going to improve the system, the reliability of the gates, so that it won't cause problems where you're stuck behind the gate. They're also going to add more security during the holidays, and that's for better traffic control and reduce the bottlenecks. Second one, what are the major projects coming up in the next 2 years? So the Best Buy is going to be converted to Lifetime Health Club. And then you may have heard in the news that Vine Hospitality Group, they left. They had, let's see, LB Steak, they had Straits, and I think left Bank. So they're refilling those. They got people coming in for that, and they're continuing the building on Hatton Street. It's going to add 258 new apartments. And then someone asked, what about road improvements and the off-ramp impact? They said they're working with the city. Right now they're still in the design phase, so nothing's really going to happen until 2028. And then somebody asked, safety issues, what's changed? Because, well, we're working with SJPD, and they're building a real-time intelligence center using cameras and license plate readers to be proactive, not reactive. So what events are planned for the rest of this year? Does anyone know that they have a farmer's market? All right, every Wednesday from 4 to 8, they have a farmer's market, and it's going to go all the way till September. You know that they had yoga on the road. I don't hear any yeses. So they have yoga if you want to go, but it's at 9 to 10 a.m. I'm still doing yoga with my pillow. All right, the last thing, and this is a new event, on October 24th and 25th, Farmer Mike is coming out to show you how to carve a pumpkin. So you may want to check that out. All right. 4 more left. What new businesses and restaurants are coming? So I told you about the health club, but at Rosie McCann's, that's going to be Flora and Reformation. So that's coming. They're not open yet. So what ones are open? So we've got 5. Johnny Donuts. Has anyone gone there? Johnny Donuts next to Starbucks? Nice. Good? Wow, yeah, everyone likes Stan. Understood. All right, then Vacío de Latte Gelato next to the theater. So you're going to get your gelato, go in and watch the movie. You been there? It's good? All right, got a thumbs up. And then Hotel Valencia's got 2. One's across the street, that's Rowan, and the one on the corner is BYLT. I don't know what that stands for, but that's next to Hotel Valencia. And then between Tommy Bahama and Yoga 8, Hot 8 Yoga, I got the spicy one, is W Salon. So if you need to get your hairdo done, that's where you want to go. Someone asked, how does Santana Row decide which business to bring in? So it has to match the vibe of Santana Row, as well as be unique, right? You don't want one store fighting the other. And it has to fit in this ratio they got for retail, dining, and services. So whatever one is less, they have to add to that one. And then finally, bike lockers. Are you going to put in bike lockers? I kind of asked that one. And they said, we'll look into it. So that's, no, they're not going to do it. All right. Also, we do have door prizes, but you got to sign in to get them. So make sure you don't just get a burger, but you sign in to be eligible for the door prize. They're right there at this table. And then, like our councilman said, National Night Out's going to be right out here. All right, and it's going to start at 6:30. We have games for kids. We're going to have Italian ice and probably some other snacks. Just come out. The police and fire department will be here. You get to meet them, talk to them, have a good time. All right. Now let's go back. We are up to Santa Clara County Agriculture with Carly Miranda. Carly, come on down.
All right, thank you for that introduction, Art. My name is Cory Miranda. I'm a biologist with the Santa Clara County Division of Agriculture. We are housed under the CEPA agency of Santa Clara County. That stands for the Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency. Within this agency, we have many divisions, including household hazardous waste, division of weights and measures, animal services, so our animal shelter is also covered in CEPA, clean water programs, and weed abatement as well. We also have vector and mosquito control within our district. So as an agricultural biologist, there's about 24, 25 of us full-time in the county, and we have a lot of ground to cover from Gilroy to Palo Alto. Some of the programs that we work in as the local enforcement branch of CDFA and DPR, which is California Department of Food and Agriculture, and the Department of Pesticide Regulation, include pest exclusion and eradication, pesticide use enforcement and investigations, farmers market compliance, our annual crop report, grower and farm worker continuing education and training, as well as nursery compliance. So that's a little bit about what we do to regulate the industry. There's also some direct services that we can or cannot provide to local residents. So some things that we can do for you all is identify a pest that was found in your yard. You can bring a pest or maybe a diseased plant into our office and we'll send it up to the state lab and have it identified for you. We can also check to see if a pest control business is licensed and registered. And we can also follow up on pesticide use complaints. So I'll talk in more detail about some of those programs. But what we can't do is recommend a specific pest control business or pesticide products for your use. That's due to the conflict of interest because we regulate those products and companies. We would usually refer any of those types of questions to the UC Cooperative Extension Program. So UC Cooperative Extension has a lot of agricultural resources and we're housed in the same office, so we can refer you to our neighbors there, and they have the most up-to-date integrated pest management information, as well as field research trials and horticultural advice. So one thing I'd also like to throw in there, that the agricultural biologists, such as myself, we are also standards specialists, meaning we also work for the Division of Weights and Measures for the county. So this is a completely different job, but we all do both of them. Weights and Measures does price verification inspections. We regulate quantity control. So if you have a complaint that maybe the gas pump isn't pumping up gas, you send that our way and we go out and investigate and see what's going on there. So today I'll mostly be focusing about agriculture, but I just wanted to let you all know that we do weights and measures as well. We're the same office, we're the same inspectors, we're licensed in both areas. So I wanted to start off with our crop report. Every year, every county in the state is required to submit a crop report to let everyone know how much value of which type of crops we are producing. So right now we're currently working on the 2025 crop report, but we do have the data from 2024. So the gross value of production agriculture in Santa Clara County for 2024 was just around $390 million. And the top crops with their values for 2024 were vegetable crops at $243 million. This includes garlic, tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, mushrooms, and broccoli. Followed by nursery plants at about $118 million. Next up is fruit and nut crops at $8.7 million. And finally we have wine grapes in the fourth position at $6.8 million. Some other crops that are grown but not in such a high ratio in the county include livestock, hay and grain, seeds, timber products, and apiary products such as honey and New Holland. So this might not sound like much of an economy when we have trillion-dollar tech companies headquartered here. However, before this was Silicon Valley, it was known as the Valley of the Heart's Desire due to the climate and ability to grow almost anything here.
Delight.
Valley
of Heart's Delight.
Thank you. Valley of Heart's Delight. Thank you for catching that. So the continued production agriculture here represents our community's resilience and commitment to local and more sustainable food systems. So now I'll be talking about what we do as the Department of Agriculture to protect these food systems. So first and foremost, we are heavily involved in pest exclusion and eradication. So how many of you all are familiar with the fruit fly quarantines that we go through seemingly endlessly? Yes. So we spend a lot of time and money. Great news is that the most recent Mediterranean fruit fly quarantine has just ended. So fruit sharing is back, but still I would recommend that you definitely check some of your fruit before distributing it, making sure that there's no larvae or insects on it that you can spread to your neighbors. So the program goals of pest exclusion and eradication are to prevent introduction and establishment of invasive pests, protecting local and regional production agriculture. So in addition to the Mediterranean fruit fly and various other fruit flies we have currently, we are fighting the glassy winged sharpshooter in the county. There is a decent sized infestation right now in Morgan Hill, and I'll get into this specific pest in a little bit and what it means for our wine grape growers, both locally and regionally within Napa. So how do we do it? There are strict regulations on transporting fruit, plants, and soil within and into California. So if you've ever driven across the state border station and they stop you and ask, do you have any fruit on you that wasn't commercially grown, and they would like to inspect it, this is due to the California Department of Food and Agriculture's plant quarantine manual, which has recommendations based on where pests are distributed throughout the nation and world and what is allowed to come into our county and our state. Most of these pests are hitchhikers from other regions. They can't spread great distances without human assistance. Pests are often found in shipments of backyard fruit and plants from areas with established populations. So our biologists conduct routine parcel inspections at FedEx, UPS, and the post office to search for agricultural commodities and pests that pose a high risk to production agriculture. Now, our greatest asset in this fight is our agricultural detector canine, Everest. Her shift ended today, so she's not with us now, but she's in her kennel. Everest can sniff out agricultural commodities in industrial facilities with a 97% accuracy, so she's pretty good. And then after Everest alerts on a package, a biologist will thoroughly inspect its contents and take samples of pests when needed. So some packages are prohibited entry to the county based on risk of pest introduction and therefore destroyed. So if you're not sure, I would say just don't ship it. Shipping plant material in California is very risky. Not only can the material go bad while you're shipping it, but there is a high likelihood that the commissioner, either from the sending county or the receiving county, will deny its entrance. But if you want more information on that and the specifics of what's allowed and what's not, you can always contact our office. So in addition to parcel inspections, the other tool that we have is trapping. So we do routine trapping of nurseries and residential delimitation trapping when finds are present. So there are different traps designed to attract different insects for invasive fruit flies. We recently tackled that with the help of a McPhail trap that uses special lures and pheromones to attract them. And then we dropped about 7 billion male sterile fruit flies in the county in 2026. So that was at a rate of about 250,000 male sterols per square mile per day. So we were getting up to about 65 million fruit flies dropped in our area per day, and this helped us prevent the use of aerial sprays. So I don't know if any of you have been around this area, say in the 80s when they were still flying planes over and were spraying pesticides from the planes. Now we don't have to do that anymore. We can use sterile males to fight that fight for us. We also do larval inspections of fruit, so this can lead to fruit stripping within a core area. If a lot of traps have been populated in a certain area, and we'll inspect some fruit trees with the help of CDFA, cut open the fruit. If we find larvae, we will ask all the fruit to be removed. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about glassy winged sharpshooter. Since medfly has just been eradicated, we're on that same mission with the glassy winged sharpshooter. So this is an invasive insect native to southeast United States and northeast Mexico. This insect is currently established in Southern California, and it spreads Pierce's disease. So Pierce's disease is fatal to grapes. It's a bacterial disease that this insect transfers from plant to plant. So what we do to prevent it from spreading is inspect every single shipment of plant that comes up from Southern California, which they have a ton of agriculture production down there due to their warmer climate. They produce a lot more than we do. They ship out a lot of material. Inspectors in Southern California inspect the material before it is sent out. We then inspect it upon arrival in our county to determine whether or not it's pest and disease free. However, despite our best efforts, it is still established in Morgan Hill. This was found in November of last year, and since we put a lot of effort into treatment options, one of our best tools in this case is a parasitic wasp. So this does have natural enemies, however, the parasitic wasp only consumes the egg, so it's not getting every life stage of this insect. So unfortunately, that does lead to us having to spray pesticides if the parasitic wasp can't keep the populations at bay on their own. We do have a notification system for residents. You can't opt out. This is just one way that we can try and protect our wine grape growers, especially in the Morgan Hill and Gilbert region. Now, have any of you heard about a recent Costco recall of grapevine plants? It's been on the news a lot lately. The shipper from Fresno County was shipping from an infested area and not following the statewide protocol that all other shippers are required to. So we caught wind of this. Biologists in other counties in Northern California found this insect on their plants. Now, almost every county in Northern California has been impacted by this. However, Santa Clara County is by far the most heavily impacted county. We had over 1,200 plants that got sold without being inspected. Other counties were facing around 50 to 200 plants, so they're already done with their pickups. For us, we are now getting to the point of going around door to door to residents' houses and collecting the plants. So if you or anyone you know is impacted by this grapevine recall, we do ask that you contact our office, or we will be showing up at the address of whoever was on the Costco membership that purchased the plant. So if you don't have the plant, but somebody used your Costco card to get one, contact us, let us know you don't have it, let us know where it's at. If you already got rid of it, let us know that too, or else we will be showing up at your house expecting the plant in a bag for us.
Where's your office?
Our office is located in San Jose at 1553 Burger Drive. It's just off the Gish, 880 and 101 interchange. So our next topic will be about pesticide use enforcement in the county. So we are, as I mentioned, the local enforcement branch of the Department of Pesticide Regulation. This means we do inspections on pesticide applications, including around structures. So if you ever see a termite tarp go up, we come out and check. Our county is actually involved in a special program that only 2 other counties in the state are involved in that ensure we inspect at a very high rate those termite tent applications. This is because they are very dangerous, especially if the gas is not turned off. They're using fumigants to kill the termites, so we don't want the houses to go boom. So we go in there, we check and make sure that they are using the correct application rate. We also do these inspections for agricultural production, mostly in South County. We go around and make sure that all employers are providing the appropriate personal protective equipment to their employees, that employees are trained properly, that maintenance gardeners are licensed and know which pesticides at which rate to use for which pests. And then we also do pesticide illness investigations. So when a doctor at a hospital suspects that a pesticide was the cause of an illness, they are obligated by law to report it to our office. This is a very time-consuming and worthwhile investigation pursuit. The majority of cases that we get in the San Jose area are household-related, so they're not workplace-related, and they are usually surrounding cleaning products such as bleach. Bleach is the biggest offender by far. A lot of times people are storing bleach in their house in water bottles, and someone gets it confused because it looks just like water, and they take a swig and end up in the hospital. The other common case is mixing bleach with products that you're not supposed to be mixing it with, or mixing bleach with anything if you are unsure. So we just want to remind you that read the label, store products away from children as necessary. We actually have an illness investigation case right now for a preschool where they were having the children do the cleaning, Turns out maybe that's not the best idea, especially when the label from that product says keep away from children. So maybe have them clean with a little bit of dish soap and water, but maybe not pesticides. We also are currently working with DPR, Department of Pesticide Regulation, who is reevaluating the use of bug bombs in houses due to the number of illness cases. So if you've ever seen like a cockroach bomb, for example, we're getting more and more of these cases where people don't know that you're not supposed to be in the house when you throw these bug bombs off, or they didn't tell their roommates that they did it and they just let it go, or they don't clean their kitchen counters off after they did it and then they make food and now their kid is sick. So doing these cases is definitely the most heart-wrenching part of our day, and we don't like to do it, but we know it has to be done, and we make our best effort to follow up with every impacted resident and get them the information that they need for a safer use of these products. And then finally, on a brighter note, our farmers market compliance. Everybody loves a good farmers market, and we make sure that the farmers markets stay good. So by that I mean there are over 30 certified farmers markets in the county, most of which operate year-round. And there are multiple markets available every day of the week except Monday, which is why you're all here today. And the certified farmers market is just registered with county agriculture. All sellers are certified, meaning that field inspections are done to ensure that the produce that's grown at the listed sites is actually grown there. So when you see we grow what we sell at a farmer's market, that's actually a legal requirement, and they are held to it by county agricultural inspectors throughout the state. And then again, the market inspections that we conduct, they ensure that all sellers are certified producers and that the label requirements are all accurate on produce, including organic certifications. So making sure that your labeled organic produce is actually organic. You can find a list of all the certified farmers markets on our website. And now I think we have some time for questions. So does anybody have any questions for your local county ag division? Yes, Art? The shot hole borer. So we do have funding right now. We just secured $100,000 to do trapping for invasive shot hole borer, which is heavily impacting the city of San Jose. Now, the city of San Jose has its own trapping program for this, so we are being very diligent to go around the perimeter of their traps so that we're not covering the same area. So that way we can expand our resources. So we're going around the further perimeter to see if it has pushed out any. So we do have one biologist working almost full-time on that program. For those of you who don't know, the invasive shot hole borer, it bores into trees and then it opens them up to fungal infections. It's mostly brought into the state through firewood that's transported from other areas. So we have a big campaign called Buy It Where You Burn It. If you're going out camping, buy firewood as close to the site that you're going to burn it as possible to prevent, again, transporting of these pests. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
You know, she created some great ideas for, you get this neighborhood kid you just don't like. She gave like 6 ideas about it. Anyways, our councilman said, hey, wait, I got another thing I want to tell you guys about. It's a fun thing. So.
Oh my God. So this Saturday, August 1st, can you believe it's August, Saturday? August 1st, Saturday, 9 to noon. If you have ever kayaked before, if you've ever thought about kayaking, you probably never thought about it or done it in downtown San Jose. Part of your district includes the Guadalupe River Park. This Saturday, we will be below the Santa Clara Street Bridge on the Guadalupe for free kayaking. We've done it once already. It's super fun. It is the coolest perspective that you never thought you'd get of San Jose. And there are sections of the Guadalupe that feel like you're on the jungle ride at Disneyland. I am not kidding, it's very cool. This Saturday, 9 to noon, it's free. We'll have a really great lemonade stand there, and we hope that people will come out. We'll see more advertising about this. 9 to noon, Saturday, August 1st, at the Santa Clara Street entry to the Guadalupe River Park. We'll have kayaks there, and if you have your own, bring it.
Well, that sounds like fun. All right. We're almost done. Second harvest. Has anyone actually volunteered to work at Second Harvest? All right. That's what I like to see. Yeah. Get to repackage food and send it out. So we have a representative here. Actually, we have two. Now we have Barbara and Chandra. They're going to tell you all about Second Harvest. Please welcome.
Thank you for having Second Harvest here action meeting. We're really appreciative of the opportunity to share our mission. I'm Barbara. This is Chandra. We're going to tag team this presentation. For those of you who volunteered with us before, thank you. We love that. Couldn't do it without you. Chandra and I are both volunteers. We're volunteers with the Speakers Bureau. So what we get to do is come here and share the mission of Second Harvest with each of you. So one of the important things about Second Harvest is our mission is really to end hunger in San Mateo and San Mateo counties, in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. Today, that means that 1 in 6 people are clients of Second Harvest. And these are people who are dealing with food insecurities. And every month we provide food to about 500,000 families throughout Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. And, you know, just to make that sort of real for you, we've been doing this for 50 years. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary. And, you know, our main mission is to advocate for policies, both at the state and federal level, that help those with food insecurities find the food that they need. And we work in partnership with a lot of organizations. And one of the things that kind of shocks people when they think about, you know, the 1 in 6 or the 500,000, it's actually that 1 in 3 children actually receive food from Second Harvest. And that's, you know, basically to sustain them. And that's from kindergarten through, you know, 12th grade. We distribute food, food banks, and a whole variety of different organizations. We work with 400 different organizations throughout Santa Clara and San Mateo County. And when you think about living in Silicon Valley, where we're incredibly blessed, you know, with the wealth, many of the families that we serve are in positions where they're forced to make hard choices. You know, do I pay for the gas? Do I pay for rent? Do I pay the PG&E bill? Or do I buy food? And our mission is to make sure that they don't have to make that last choice. That food is available, healthy food is available to them when they need it, no questions asked. And you know, our mission is to really, you know, work through the community to find ways to, you know, end hunger. And nutrition is our central mission, and we work closely with the nutrition team to actually promote healthy food. So if you've ever been at our distribution center, you'll notice that 60% of all the food that we distribute is actually healthy fruits and vegetables, as well as protein, milk, eggs, and bread. And we have an organization that creates great meals and recipes, very simple, that our clients can use. And I gotta tell you, I use it myself because I can only make chicken so many ways. And you know, you just go onto the website, enter in the food item, and it will list for you lots of different recipes in many different languages. So since we do support, you know, folks of all different ethnicities, something is always available for them. And there's been a couple of changes before I turn it over to Chandra to talk about. So I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but there was a bill passed in California. It's called AB 660. And basically what it mandated is clearer dates on food packages. many people were very confused because sometimes it said sell by, sometimes it said best by, sometimes it said use by, and people really didn't have an understanding of what that meant. So we, through this bill, and we basically said you can no longer put sell by on the packaging because what is in that package should be good. And so it's generally a best by date is what you'll see, which means that whatever it is best by the date on the package. That does not mean after the date it is no longer good. And one of the things that we produce, and this actually came from my pantry, is a food guide that tells you actually how good and for how long food is continually good for. We have this up on our website. We have it in paper copies. We can make sure that we get some distributed for those of you who want it. But basically it goes through each of the categories of food and says how long is it good for. So for example, eggs, right? It's not by the date on the carton. It's 4 to 5 weeks actually after that date that they are still good. And part of the reason for encouraging this bill to pass is because so much food was being wasted. Because people would see a date, they go, oh, it's no good anymore, let's throw it out. When they're perfectly good food for people to eat and have. So with that, what I'm going to do is turn it over to Chandra, and then I'll be back at the end for some questions. And he's going to tell you about volunteering. So, Chandra.
Thank you, Barbara. So I'm going to talk about 3 things. I want to talk about 3 things today. 1, we have an ecosystem around the second harvest. What is this ecosystem? She talked about 400 partners. So when second harvest partners with these, we end up with a total of 900 distribution centers. And I think a lot of you are volunteer at places nearby. So at an average, we have a couple of distribution centers every few miles. What are these distribution centers? This is where a lot of the places when you walk in, you can either sort food, distribute food, and these are all over San Jose and Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. Now, can anyone guess how many volunteers do we have at Second Harvest? Any guesses? 10,000?
1,000.
We have 46,000 volunteers. In a given year, 46,000 volunteers contribute 320,000 hours. So that's equivalent, for some of you who are engineers like me, 150 full-time employees. Second Harvest itself has around 250 employees. So you're talking of an organization where 40% of its workforce is volunteers. It's a volunteers-driven organization. So thank you for all of you who have volunteered for Second Harvest. The second topic I want to talk about is, where do we get our food? I mean, she talked about 500,000 people per month. That's not less, that's a lot of food. So 2 places. 1, large donations. Second, what we call food rescue. Has anyone heard about what is a food rescue? In 2016, California Senate Bill 1383 was in effect. The full compliance was in 2022. What does it say? It mandates that 20% of all food that goes to landfill has to be rescued and should be used to feed the hungry. And that's exactly what Second Harvest does. So we are a part of that. In a year, we rescue 93 million pounds of food. That's a staggering number. Now for some of you, this is a little bit of marketing. But for some of you, what is 93 million? There is a company that took this 93 million and converted it into something we all can correlate to. That's equivalent to 48 vehicles taken off the street for the entire year. that's greenhouse gases, plus filling up 2,500 swimming pools worth of water. Now, that's good marketing. What it says is 93 million pounds is a lot of food. So, given it's 93 million, can anyone guess how much food do we collect in a year? We collect roughly 125 to 150 million pounds. So what that's telling you is 75% or 3/4 of the food comes from the food rescue program. That's a staggering number. There are many organizations that the state has put together to help us through this so-called rescue program. And the third topic I want to talk about today is fundraising and donations. Can anyone guess how much percentage of the donations we get are from individuals? Take a rough guess.
45.
Pretty close. 70% of the dollars we get are from individuals like you and me. That's a big number. Between the two counties, we raise roughly $80 million. So that's $54 million just coming from people like you and me. Remaining 30% comes from corporations, foundations, and government. Unfortunately, what's happening is the need for food has been going up, and you all know food costs more now. So with the money we have, we are buying less and less and less food. So what does it mean for us? We have to raise more money. You know, the math's telling us that we got to raise another 20% more than where we are today. So the next question you'll ask me is, how can I help you? Right? You can donate, you can volunteer, you can be our advocate, you can join our team and share our vision. I believe hunger is a problem, but I think it can be solved when all of us work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. So, I'm here to answer any questions that you have about the organization or any thoughts? Quiet crowd. Yep. She was saying that when she volunteers, or when she had volunteered, that she didn't get a follow-up email to remind her and thank her for volunteering. And because the company was matching the time, and if you match it, then getting a follow-up email. So we'll take that back to the volunteer folk and see what we can do about that. I know that what we do is you can see your hours on the website at any time. What you're looking for on that. Any other questions? Why don't we leave you just with one thought, just to think about before we go. So, Second Harvest, and for those of you who may not know the origin of the name comes from the fact that the first harvest is what is commercially sold. The second harvest is all the stuff that is irregular shaped or too small or too large, and that's what we buy from farmers or get donated to us. And we go through, and that's what we're packaging up. And many times we have waste of our own as we're going through packaging. But our waste is recycled, so that there are farmers throughout this community who can come to Second Harvest any day of the week that we're doing distribution, and they can pick up the unused food, and then they can use that to feed their animals, to compost, and a whole host of things. So our goal is zero waste, not just in terms of the community, but in terms of everything that we do. And last thought is we did a survey of many of the Second Harvest clients, and asked them just about various things that they're having to deal with. 90% of the respondents said that they had food insecurities, particularly around ensuring that they get nutritious food. So, our mission is to make sure that they have that. The second thing is that 60% of the people who actually receive food from us have less than $100 in savings at any given point. 50% of the respondents are concerned about how they're going to make rent for the next month. 60% of those are also employed with one or more jobs, but those jobs just don't cover what they need. And 63% of the respondents said that at least one person in their house has a job and is getting paid. But again, back to the challenge is sometimes the math just doesn't work. So we appreciate everything that you do for our organization, volunteer, fundraise, all of that great stuff. We could not do it without you and without your support, and we thank you so much for having us here.
Okay, we're up to the last speaker. Again, I just want to repeat, if you haven't signed in, you cannot win the door prize. You got to sign in. Make sure you do that. So we've already talked about it, the 826 building, but did you know that Winchester actually has like 6 projects going on? So it's not just 826 Winchester. There's a bunch of buildings. And to talk about this only a little more is our representative from the board. He also represents concerned Cory Neighborhood, Ken Hittleman. I want to talk about the different types of zoning so that you understand it. Please welcome Ken Hittleman.
Great, thanks. So Joey already touched upon it a little bit about how the Planning Commission just had a vote and are sending recommendations to the City Council to act on them. And I'm going to go over in more detail what exactly was decided. Feel free to, I know some of you, this may be the very first year hearing of it, other of you may be very well versed on the subject. Feel free to ask questions as I'm going along to make it an interactive discussion. So, there's been after the 826 Winchester vote before, it was basically deferred into what's called the Vision 2040 4-year review plan. And so there's this long-term plan, and every number of years they basically go through and review that plan and basically decide how current housing is going in San Jose and how things should be changed. And so the Winchester 826 building was deferred to this, and it kind of morphed into this whole Winchester corridor issue. So now not only are they talking about changing the zoning for 826 Winchester, but basically the entire corridor along Winchester, and more specifically the area starting with the area near the Baskin Robbins, and there's a Taylor and a haircut place, wrapping around to the restaurant there, the barn, Burger Barn, New Crunk Thai is there, and it goes all the way up to where the paint store is. So that whole section is basically being proposed to rezone to what they're urban residential. And urban residential normally is 120 feet, but they're going to cap it at 85. But basically, it's turning that whole area into 8-story buildings with a density of 90 units per acre is the standard. And with concessions, where if a builder agrees to make some of the units in their facility below market rate, they get extra bonuses. And if they maximize that bonus, they can actually double it to 180 units per acre in each of those buildings along that corridor. There's no mandate for parking, and these are basically being dumped right onto the street, and there is no street parking there. So, you know, Valley Fair is already kind of using that area. Well, this will add to that. So that's one of the things they're talking about. In addition, there was a proposal to increase the density for the Alameda area. For that area, they only decided that 2 little locations needed a little bit of density changes. So they're really just focusing on the Winchester area. In addition to this, across the entire San Jose area, they're looking to change the density of single-family homes. Right now, zoning is called R18. So basically, you get 8 units per acre where your current house is. And they're planning on quadrupling that to be 32 units per acre. So what that means is if your house is on 6,000 square feet, kind of an average, that basically somebody, your neighbor, somebody could buy your neighbor's house and basically decide to knock that down and build 4 to 5 primary units, additionally 4 to 5 additional ADUs on that one 6,000 square foot lot with no mandate for any type of permit. This is citywide for all of San Jose, so that's what we're proposing. In these discussions, they also talked about some other topics, including PPP, basically converting churches and schools to housing as well. Anyway, during this voting process, they did take out the Alameda to the Winchester corridor area and had a separate vote on that. Every other thing that they voted on, they passed. However, on Winchester, I think we did a pretty good job of being vocal, and they took 4 different votes with different proposals, from accepting the entire proposal of going to that urban residential along that corridor. Oh, and then of course, Winchester's 826 Winchester is also included in the urban residential zoning as well. So there was a vote to take it intact, do everything, but actually somebody even proposed 826 Winchester being MUN, which would be 40, basically a 4-story building there. And that was what the concerned Cory Neighborhood was pushing for, was basically going for MUN housing, MUN zoning, which would keep it to about, I think, 45 feet. Somebody repeat what you said? 50 feet, 50 units, thank you. Anyway, so only the Winchester corridor basically deadlocked. And so, and actually one of the people proposed that instead of all of the urban residential, that all of the things that were urban residential would be MUN. But again, all of these went down 5, 4, 6 against on each of the votes. So none of them passed. So it's basically up to the city council now to take those recommendations and figure out what they're going to do. So if you have an opinion, I would strongly suggest going to the city council meeting on the 18th of August at 6 p.m. at the city council chamber, and just show a presence. If you can't show up, or even if you can, send an email to Mulcahy and all of the other people. Contact concerned Cory Neighborhood if you want more information about who to contact for that. And let's see, questions? Yes, Michelle. So, Michelle pointed out that it's not just Winchester, but Winchester and Forest, the wraparound for the Taylor and Baskin Robbins are on Forest. Actually, I have a map here if anyone wants to see it after the fact.
Read it, you need to see it.
Question, yes. Uh-huh. I'm not positive, but I think that's possible. In addition, when I was talking about converting, the question was a house or neighbor near her, three doors down from her, created an ADU, and now they want to separate them into different parcels and basically sell them independently. I'm not sure, but I think that's legal, but I'm not an expert on that. I do know that for talking about the rezoning where you could build 4 to 5 units, each of those units could be rezoned as individuals. So you can certainly break that up into, a house and an ADU for 5 units in there. More traffic, more parking issues, also water, sewage, electricity. Some of you have been noticing probably that they're having to restring wires and upgrade the electric grid in order to support the ADUs as they currently are. This would increase that significantly as well. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Thanks very much. Yes. What's that? So there's the Concerned Cory Neighbors meetings as well. So talk to Lindy about that if you're interested. And definitely come to the city council meeting again and send in emails. Just show up and show your presence. Oh, here's another thing. I almost forgot. So the increased density from R1H to R132 is getting a lot of visibility throughout San Jose, especially in District 10. And so at this meeting, I would expect that not only would we be there and others talking about Winchester Corridor and that density, but I think there will be a large number of people just talking about the increased density across San Jose. So at these meetings, there's public comment time, and normally you get up to 2 minutes to make your comment. Probably because of the large number of people that are coming, we will be limited to 1 minute. So prepare a 1 minute speech and then maybe a backup 2 minute speech if you're willing to talk at the meeting. We fill out a little card at the beginning. Yes?
Why hasn't Cory Neighborhood Association come out and said
The question is, why hasn't the Cory Neighborhood Association taken a stand on this and directed to
Passing the buck. Come on. Here you go. So, Cory Neighborhood Association represents everyone in all opinions. So, there are people who like tall buildings. And so, for us to come out and say, no, we're against it, we're going against those people. So, we have to stay neutral. We'll support any opinion that you want, but as a board itself, we're neutral. Wow, sorry.
council meeting for 826? That's telling you, if you're going to say a small minority means you're not going to take a position. The whole reason the neighborhood association exists is for land use. That's one of the issues. And if you stay neutral, that does no good. That's why the neighborhood association comes together for you to go to City Hall.
I went to City Hall and gave my 2 cents, but I did it as me, not as the board.
They listen to the neighborhood association. When you stay silent, what does that say?
You're welcome to join the board. You're welcome to join the board and voice your opinion and put your stamp on it. Right now, the board wants to stay neutral.
Everybody's here. This is what the neighborhood wants, not what the board thinks. That makes no sense.
And so right now I'm wearing my Concerned Cory Neighbors hat for most of that speech that I just gave or talk. But with my regular board hat, I will say anyone who is against that is in support of this stuff, still feel free to show up and voice your opinion.
Are there open positions on the board?
One position is currently open on the board. If someone would like to become active. I think I saw some other questions. Yes. Speak really loud. I got the engine behind me.
I said something along the lines of council members, everybody wants to do, but I'm not going to be here on the 18th. So what I'm saying is, like, on Thursday, that I would like somebody for if there's a make it, they all write a or write a letter, at least we'll have that many more neighbors coming together and saying, hey, I'm
the comment there was that she sent in a letter. She's going to be unable to attend the meeting itself, and so she's just putting out there that maybe there are people out there, and actually this happened at the last meeting, Lindy couldn't make it, so some of us took the opportunity who didn't want to prepare their own speech. You can read somebody else's speech and basically say, maybe someone who isn't able to give their own speech, ask around. There are probably people who wrote something up that can't present it themselves that would love for you to basically stand up there and make the points for them. And she also made comments about how I think she's sitting there leaving, or if this passes, she'd be wanting to go and possibly. Hear all that. Any other questions or comments? All right, thanks very much. Feel free to text me
Thank you, Ken. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. We need Linda up here. You hear the number 46? That's my burger. You. Oh, yeah. So, I'm sure you've all seen this, and in fact, the state is reconsidering allowing people to turn right on red because people aren't stopping at the stop sign. They're just saying, hey, I can turn right on red, I'm just going to go. You actually have to stop first, and then you can go. You can't just go and, it's a stop sign. All right, so stop. Pick a number between 1 and 91.
26.
It's thinking. Oh, 10. Sandy Day. Yeah, Sandy Day. All right, come on up. Gift certificate to Italy. Pick a number between 1 and 91 that is not 10. Like 20. Sean Heath. All right, that's it. Thank you, Sean. Yeah. Same thing. That is the meeting. We'll see you all in October. Maybe you can grab a burger on your way out. I don't know. But thanks for coming. Oh, looks like there's free calendars up here too if you want a calendar.